The night the lights flickered on the 42nd floor of a Chicago skyscraper, no one noticed the woman pushing a cleaning cart through the empty hallway. Except fate. Hannah Cooper had learned that life often changed in quiet moments, not loud ones, but she never imagined it would change with a single, desperate breath shared between two strangers on a cold marble floor. One moment she was a single mother counting minutes until she could go home to her sleeping son, and the next, she was kneeling beside a dying man whose heartbeat was slipping away like sand through fingers. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel if you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Hannah was 32, worn down by long nights and early mornings, her hands rough from years of honest work. After her husband passed in a construction accident, she took any job she could find to keep her 8-year-old son Noah safe, warm, and fed. Working as a janitor in one of the tallest buildings in downtown Chicago was never part of her childhood dreams. But dreams had a way of shrinking when bills grew louder. Each night she cleaned offices where power lived in leather chairs and glass walls, places where decisions were made that shaped cities, while she quietly erased fingerprints and coffee stains no one else cared about. That evening felt heavier than usual. Snow pressed against the windows, the city glowing beneath it, and Hannah's chest carried a strange unease she could not name. As she turned a corner near the executive wing, she noticed an office door standing open. Inside, a man lay collapsed near his desk, his face pale, his body unnaturally still. Panic rose in her throat, but instinct took over. Hannah rushed forward, checking for breath, remembering fragments from a first aid class she once took at a church fundraiser. His breathing was shallow, almost gone, his lips tinged blue. She knew waiting for help might be too late. Without time to hesitate, Hannah pressed her lips to his, giving him air with everything she had, praying silently as her heart pounded. It was not romantic or dramatic, just raw survival. The kiss was life passing from one soul to another, a fragile bridge between loss and hope. Moments later, his chest shuddered, and breath returned in a broken gasp. Sirens eventually filled the hallway, security and paramedics rushing in, pulling Hannah away gently as they worked. She left the building shaken, unaware that the man she saved was Michael Reynolds, a billionaire whose name crowned the city skyline. Days passed, and Hannah returned to her routine, believing the moment was over. Life did not pause for miracles when rent was due. She scrubbed floors, packed Noah's lunches, and tried to forget the way that man's life had felt in her hands. But something had shifted. A letter arrived at her small apartment, stamped with an unfamiliar logo. Inside was a request to meet, signed by Michael Reynolds himself. Fear and disbelief tangled in her chest as she realized the man she had saved was not just another office worker, but one of the most powerful figures in the country. When Hannah arrived at the hospital for the meeting, she barely recognized him. Michael looked smaller without his suit, more human, his eyes carrying a depth that money could not buy. He had suffered a severe cardiac episode, doctors said, and without immediate intervention, he would not have survived. Hannah's quick action had saved his life. The weight of that truth pressed on her in ways she could not explain. She tried to shrink herself, to remind herself she was just a janitor, but Michael would not let her. He saw her not as an employee but as a woman of courage, someone who acted when others might have frozen. As weeks turned into months, Michael insisted on helping Hannah, not out of charity but gratitude. He learned about Noah, about the nights Hannah went to bed hungry so her son could eat, about the dreams she buried after loss reshaped her world. He offered opportunities, not handouts, funding her education, arranging flexible work so she could study nursing, something she had once wanted before life intervened. Hannah resisted at first, pride clashing with necessity, but she realized accepting help did not erase her strength. It honored it. Change did not come without struggle. Hannah faced whispers at work, suspicion from those who assumed her story was too unbelievable to be clean. She battled self-doubt, wondering if she deserved the path opening before her. Michael faced his own reckoning, confronting how isolated wealth had made him, how close he had come to dying unseen in a room full of luxury. Their lives, once worlds apart, now reflected each other in unexpected ways. They healed separately, yet together, learning that survival carried responsibility. Years later, Hannah stood in a hospital corridor wearing scrubs, her graduation photo tucked in her locker, Noah cheering from the front row at every milestone. Michael funded community clinics, inspired by the woman who reminded him that humanity thrived in overlooked places. They did not build a fairy tale, they built something quieter and stronger, rooted in respect and shared growth. The kiss that saved his life became a symbol of how one moment of courage could echo across years. If this story is touching your heart, please take a moment now to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction helps spread messages of hope to others who might need them more than we know. Before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and share what this story made you feel, or simply leave a heart if it reminded you that small acts can change everything. Hannah never became famous, and Michael never forgot the floor where he almost died. Their story lived on not in headlines, but in quiet kindness, in a mother's steady hands, and in the truth that sometimes the people who save us are the ones the world barely sees.